Bills Mafia is running a gamut across western New York. The fine table-smashing families of Buffalo are looking to expand their operation nationwide. With their great hitman Josh Allen, they will ensure that such dreams will become reality. At least they better, because that man got paid enough to probably buy all of Wyoming, including mineral rights. This is going to be a very big year for Buffalo. After last season's solid push to the conference championship, they will be looking for something greater to overcome those that bested them last season. Superiority is the name of the game here, and this includes the domain of local politics. The Pagulas feel this is the perfect time to strike for a new stadium. But seriously, if you're going to try and negotiate, at least try to make the offer reasonable. Not demand the city of Buffalo pay for the entire damn thing. Just you watch, the mention of Austin, Texas wasn't just a veiled threat. The AFC seems to be top-heavy again, but there's a ton of competition in the middle, and that's where the intrigue will come into play. The divisions seem relatively cut and dry. Buffalo wins the AFC East, Cleveland gets the AFC North, Tennessee claims the AFC South, and Kansas City locks up the AFC West. But for wildcards, there's an argument to be made for many teams. For the three I'm choosing, I'm going with Baltimore, Miami, and the Chargers. It was very tough to pick anyone who stands out in that regard. So I'm hoping for a really exciting AFC this season. I have a gut feeling another 10-win team isn't going to make the playoffs again. Buffalo, I need you to report to the principal's office after class. Can you please explain to the rest of us what the fuck that was supposed to be? The Bills were favorites to win. They had dominated nearly every trackable metric. Buffalo had clamped down on a geriatric offense and suspect line in the first half. But, boys, you're supposed to celebrate with the bubbly after the game, not at halftime. The Steelers' pass rush was relentless, so apparently the coaching staff needs to gut everything and try to overthink their opponent. And what better example of it than on this 4th and 1? They call an RPO where they flip the ball to a runner 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Of course nobody's gonna get fooled on that. We're not an idiocracy yet. Pittsburgh had no right to be in this game, yet they just had to stand there while the Bills outcoached themselves. They flat out imploded, and it's a game they might regret down the line. Steelers, you stole this one. Now take this detention slip and get the fuck out of my face. Buffalo got punched in the mouth last week by a combination of an elite pass rush and shit play calling. They've had to taste that shit for days, and it consumes them. They need to come out and obliterate the next person they see to a pulp. Well, here comes preppy Miami with his plaid blazer and Buddy Holly cut. They're a perfect target, and the pummeling will begin. To make sure everyone sees it, the Bills will do it in the public square. The main course tonight will be pan-seared flipper with a side of scalloped fin. Nothing personal, Dolphins. Buffalo just needed to flex its superiority. There was some collateral damage done, though. Tua got pulled from the game, adding salt to the hypothetical wounds. Now, if Miami caves to Houston's demands for Deshaun Watson as a result, if Tua's out long-term, they might not have a choice. Welcome to Buffalo, Washington. Aw, you think you're so tough with your Tank Division trophy and win against the Derp last week. I wish I could say things could be just as optimal for you, but you're going up against a raging bull. Its name is the Bills. As they annihilate every single aspect of your team and game plan, Josh Allen rampages across the play. The golden arm of his throws darts right between your eyes. They'll take pictures in front of your corpse and sell the ivory on the market. Visceral annihilation is the consensus here. Buffalo destroys any shred of hope the Reskins had from week 2. It just becomes a massive party by the second half. It was that much of a beatdown. In hindsight, the Steelers didn't just defeat the Bills in week 1. They may have awoken a sleeping giant. We apparently can't talk about assault since it allegedly triggers traumatic situations or some shit. Buffalo does not care about such frivolity. They see a Houston team dealing with demons and shit on them from the highest perch they can find. My words cannot do this justice. This was such thorough annihilation that the Texans should commit seppuku out of shame. Colonoscopies are more enjoyable than seeing this team. Davis Mills is about to enter witness protection from the thorough destruction of his soul. 4 picks, 87 yards passing, a QBR of less than 1. That uncircumcised penis had his football dreams die in front of his eyes. No mercy from the Bills. And that's how they want it. Houston, here's some change for bus fare. The gaping holes in your body will probably get infected, but tough shit. Kansas City has been incredibly sloppy on both sides of the ball. And wouldn't you guess it, the weather wasn't the only thing that was shit at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are not playing up to their potential. Seeing them from drive to drive will show you that. Against weaker opponents, they'll win, but against legitimate contenders? fuck right off and go directly to jail. Buffalo endlessly smashed them through tables, despite both the terrible officiating and weather conditions. Kansas City was so overmatched that they tried to keep the game on the pause screen to force a rage quit. There's a time limit there, boys. The NFL has to make money. This game will now return to its regularly scheduled ass-whooping. Despite endless ref ball on both sides, the Bills dominate their foes. You should have forced a disconnect, Chiefs. At least then the game wouldn't have counted. No one is giving Tennessee a chance in this matchup. They are justified. It is a team that lost in humiliating fashion to the Jets. And the Bills have been cutting down everything in their path for weeks. But you know the motto of football. Any given Sunday, anything is possible. It's technically Monday here, but Sunday is more prestige. There are a few things that make me happier in the football world than Derrick Henry obliterating defenses. The brute force, the elegant grace, and the sheer disrespect of his opponents all in one. I fucking love it. Never ever take this man away from us, football gods. Watching him play every week is a treat. Hey boys, if you're still in the Shadow Realm, can you check to see if Josh Norman is around? He hasn't been returning our calls. This endless rummaging through the Bills' defense has us realize one thing. This game is an offensive duel. It's in different ways. The Bills threw raw air power in Tennessee with King Henry claiming victim after victim on his way to supremacy. Even into the fourth, we expect the Titans to run out of gas, but they just don't. They're resilient fuckers, I'll give them that. For every shot, Buffalo takes Tennessee as an answer. It's a legitimate heavyweight bout. With this Titan lead by 3 deep into the fourth, Buffalo almost had a dagger, but it got called back for a holding penalty. You can't let the game finish that easily. You need to up the drama and tension. Now the Bills march. Time slowly ticking away. The goal line moving ever so closer. The script is all but writing itself. Buffalo managing the clock enough to strangle the Titans at their own game. All they need is to go for the kill.
Allen leans forward, and I don't think he got there.
The Titans can play defense in the interior? Holy shit. Nothing against the play call by Buffalo, but that got blown up by an outstanding individual effort. Tennessee survives. Maybe I was too harsh on them for past failures. Maybe they deserve another look. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch of this in January. It was looking uncertain there for a hot minute. Buffalo was doing everything they possibly could to keep Miami in this game. It's not entirely unjustified, though. The Bills have had a few of these hiccups throughout the season, and the Dolphins were considered to be playoff contenders before the season. Instead of a rout, it's a defensive duel to start the game. Key stops all around, both offenses failing to gain traction, so Buffalo took their team into the shop at half. They figured out the problem. Someone accidentally put the team in 2018 mode. That's an easy adjustment. A few tweaks, allow Josh Allen to do his thing, and we have ourselves a Buffalo team that gets it together to maintain supremacy in the AFC East. Buffalo may have a victory, but the real winner here is Howie Roseman. His trade with the Dolphins at the draft continues to bear fruit. And like the past few weeks, Miami will blame Tua for this when he wasn't the main issue. Everything was fine until I made that goddamn video about them. Why did I give them the kiss of death? The team significantly favored against one of the most pathetic excuses for a professional football squad in Jacksonville's alumni game. We expected an utter rout, and what we ended up getting was a massive fucking comedy sketch. Buffalo has had serious trouble with offensive consistency this season. It happened against Pittsburgh, it happened in the first half against Miami last week, and it happened yet again against the Jaguars. You can't take the Bills back into the shop this time, they're closed for personal reasons. Touchdowns need not apply to this game. Terrible football is the headliner in Duval. Some could call it greatness. Ugliness that is a sick fascination to the public eye. Like an old freak show of fumbles, interceptions, and whiffs. Tied at 6 at halftime, it becomes a game of who wants to hand the win to the other team more. Josh Allen got sacked by Josh Allen and then threw a pick to not Josh Allen. Jacksonville doesn't do much with the ball and misses a field goal. And somehow gets another chance and misses again and make that 3 times in a row. Unlike that kicker, Josh Allen dominated his namesake in the mirror match by picking off Josh Allen. We are then amazed that Jacksonville can score points. How many of them do you need to beat the Bills? Apparently only 9. Josh Allen can't do anything as Josh Allen flexes his superiority. Josh Allen reminds everyone of his first-round pedigree by leading his team in an unprecedented win against Josh Allen. Confusing, ain't it? It's just like this game to anyone who watched it. Buffalo is concerned with O-line play and execution, and it cost them as Urban Meyer treated them like a co-ed. Don't look now, Bills. Someone you've loathed for decades is sneaking up behind you. And he knows your darkest secrets. New England is preheating their oven for the eventual feast.
You blew it, boy! You really blew it!
The Jets may be terrible, but glimmers of hope are rising at MetLife. And his name is Mike Goddamn White. He said he should have been the first overall pick in the draft. And he was the first overall pick in our hearts. For about 2 weeks. Welcome back to the cold reality of irrelevance, Mike. The Buffalo Bills defense will ensure that any hype surrounding your name is gone forevermore. It was a beautiful stretch, but 4 ugly picks dampened the mood on any situation. The Bills had their own humiliation to avenge, and they did it in a fine AFC East tradition, picking on the slow fat kid named the Jets. Nobody gives a fuck about them, and they apparently deserve nothing nice. See this shiny new quarterback? Well, he's gone. You get the old shiny new quarterback you had before. Farewell, you legendary meme. Mike White's body will remain, but I will somehow accidentally keep calling him Matt. Leave it to my goddamn jinx for me to say that I had criticisms about the Colts. The week after I say they haven't beaten a legitimate opponent this season, Indy goes off and teabags an AFC contender like it's Halo 2. You gotta celebrate a killing spree like theirs in style, I don't blame them for it. The Colts saw Buffalo's insanely one-dimensional offense and pounced. Josh Allen, the alpha and omega of their offense, could do nothing. The running game that does little besides Josh Allen did even less than that. The Bills will lick the boot as it presses on their face. And the one squeezing the life out of them is a man named Jonathan Taylor. How dominant was he today? 5 touchdowns. Bills Mafia turned into an army of try-hard 12-year-olds on Call of Duty after watching this onslaught. Indianapolis may be inconsistent and I still have questions about them, but they have momentum. With dominant performances like this under the belt, that could make them very dangerous moving forward. Buffalo is a massively inconsistent franchise this year. So much for being Super Bowl contenders when the interior line is being held together by scotch tape and the only running game to speak of is from Josh Allen. We got both Bills teams against New Orleans. In the first half, there was the squad that failed to launch. As I said, the offense solely relies on Josh Allen. And if you can force him to make decisions under pressure, he'll feed a defense countless mistakes. The Bills are leading at half, but that's only because the Saints are a turducken. Injured talent inside Sean Payton's over-aggressiveness, inside shattered hopes and dreams lathered in a sauce of Michael Thomas's arrogance. Buffalo then showed us their second half form. The dominant world beaters we were expecting out of them earlier in the year. But this is a New Orleans Saints team that's gone through a fucking hurricane of ailments. You should be crushing them if you have ambitions. And it technically should have been even more of a decimation than it became. Buffalo is good, but instability may ruin them. Especially if Tre'Davious White is out long term. Bills real talk. Find a running back to use besides Josh Allen. It'll help. There are few reasons for anyone to want to go back to 2020, but for the NFL, it's because New England was irrelevant that year. Buffalo is in a critical situation to retain a hold on the AFC East, but it will be a challenge. Out of the 4 major elements, one will play a major role in this soiree. The wind. Kicking field goals on one end is all but impossible, with it blowing at 25 to 35 miles per hour and gusts equaling the speed limit on major highways. In response, the Patriots took it old school with the offense. Going back in time to the 1920s. Enough goddamn running to make a marathon seem like a short jog. Mac Jones's arm could have taken out a lawn chair and read Machiavelli for about 55 minutes. He only threw one time until a rebellious 2 passes on one drive deep in the 4th. Whoa, someone call Paul Brown, we have a revolutionary game plan in our midst. The thing is that the endless rushing worked. New England didn't have to change up their game plan because Buffalo's attack was stymied by both the winds and the Patriots' rejuvenated defense. It's a statement all its own. You can flex your mafia all you want, but Bill Belichick owns you. He's won 19 times in their stadium, so you might as well get cozy in the dungeon. Especially as Josh Allen can't throw accurately in these wins and Tyler Bass got trolled by the gods themselves on a fucking chip shot. If they make that field goal, none of the agony happens. Josh Allen doesn't have to try and fail to play God because they're down by 4. The Patriots don't make stop after stop in the red zone, and Buffalo isn't humiliated in the ugliest game of the season. Bill Belichick proved that you could turtle the entire team for most of a game and still end up winning. Buffalo isn't the new king of the East. They simply kept it warm for New England, Who, oh god, are the new number 1 seed in the AFC with a 7-game winning streak? Everything is proceeding as he has foreseen. May the Lord have mercy on us all. Buffalo is hitting the point of their season when they realize that perhaps the Bills were vastly overrated before the year. There are plenty of things to point the finger at, but they forgot the golden rule of business. Never get high off your own supply. They chose to sit on their palms and do nothing to address the issues on the team this past offseason, and they're paying for it now. At this point, their running game is Josh Allen, followed by Josh Allen, and even more Josh Allen. Their interior line and probably their tackles as well are pretty terrible. All of this combined with a defense that can't hold the raging waters of Brady have the Buccaneers with a commanding 24-3 lead at halftime. What Buffalo needs is a miracle. What Buffalo needs is Josh Allen. They need his 2020 prowess back in a bad way. But the NFL can't let the Bills upset the precious balance of power in the NFC. Not that Josh Allen gives a shit, he'll carry the team as far as he possibly can. This includes undoing that precious Buccaneer offense showcased most weeks. The winds are changing. Bills Mafia is coming back, and they desperately need this one not to be a crab falling back into the AFC bucket. You silly bastards, did you seriously expect to beat Tom Brady? This man has owned you so hard over the years that he lays claim to about 70% of the real estate in your damn city. You can march down the field with less than 2 minutes left, but you won't be able to push it to the end zone. Sure, go ahead, send it to overtime. Receive the kick even, it won't delay the inevitable. Brady's coming back home and he's been slugging beers at the local bar. He's got allegations of ref ball on his side and had a big day at the races. I don't even have to consider this a rising action. We all know what's going to happen.
All year, and here he is on 3rd and 3 from the pocket. Connecting. As Perriman taking it all the way for the win.
A devastating dagger thanks to the usual bully. And a nice gift to his old hubby Bill Belichick to continue to hold the AFC East. Thank God the Bills are playing Carolina next week. You aren't gonna somehow blow a game against that cupcake, are you? You aren't gonna fuck it up, right? We can all agree this year has been insanely fucked for the NFL. Most games like the last one we recap feel like they're on some kind of drug cocktail. It's exhausting to follow this league some weeks. The only benefit is in memes fresh out of the oven. You thought it couldn't get worse. An old friend has reemerged onto the scene. Corona-chan is back from her lengthy vacation and wreaking havoc on every sports league throughout America. The NFL has felt her wrath hard. You may have noticed all the coughing last week. It was for good reason. Over 150 cases in the league over a 5-day span. It's not Pokemon to catch. Coronavirus is running a train throughout multiple organizations. Cleveland and the Rams have over 25 players in COVID protocol. Washington has over 20. Other teams like the Bears, Texans, and Lions are getting wrecked as well. 8 teams are in enhanced COVID protocols. This is the worst case scenario we were fearing last season, and we're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. The NFLPA pleaded with the league for games to be postponed, but of course they waited until the last moment. In a shocker, the Shield cared more about game integrity than cold hard cash. The Saturday Browns and Raiders tilt has been pushed to Monday. Seahawks versus Rams and Reskins versus Eagles have been rescheduled for Tuesday. We have it again in doubleheader form, boys! Tuesday night football! Any chance we can get a Wednesday night game? For all the glorious memes? Buffalo is falling hard. Getting stymied in Tampa Bay last week has them in a state of desperation. But there is good fortune coming their way. The Panthers somehow pissed off an ancient shaman and he's found a voodoo doll. Shaking his hand with fury, he strikes at the doll's leg. Zane Gonzalez is injured in warmups. Carolina doesn't have a kicker. Unfortunately for them, Urban Meyer could not be reached in time to suit up. The Panthers are now shorthanded. In the game against the Bills, it probably didn't end up mattering, but this is the cold reality of Carolina over this year. When they don't have bad luck, they're somehow sucking the life out of themselves in unique fashion. Josh Allen, foot injury and all, looked like his old self in a game that the Bills desperately needed. Something to try and stop the bleeding. It didn't feel like this game was much of a contest, but every win is sacred with how tight the AFC is. They maintain playoff seeding with the Patriots, Falcons, and Jets remaining on the schedule. This is your shot to show us that you still have life in those dying legs of yours, Buffalo. You better not fuck it up. Buffalo headed into New England's hallowed Death Star in a do-or-die situation. It's not as if it's an impossible task, is it? Not with COVID wrecking both sides with relentless haste, but this game is insanely critical for the Bills. And they'll need the efforts they were advertised to have before the year to have any chance of winning. Buffalo will need their elite defense to clamp down on their opposition by any means necessary. They're going to need more than a one-dimensional offensive game. Most critically, they'll need Josh Allen to transcend time and space to finish the objective. In their greatest hour of need, all three of these facets answered the call. Well, 2.5 of them. The offense is still solely predicated on Josh Allen, but he had quite possibly the game of his life, without a good chunk of his receiving core. To complement his elite play, the defense would do the rest and shut down a resurgent Patriots squad in their own home. A vital season-changing win is their reward. Not only are their playoff hopes alive, but they also regain the AFC East division lead. And they now hold tiebreaker over New England. They once again control their own destiny. And it's the best case scenario for a team that's struggled in too many spots. The day has been won, but the war is still being fought. For now though, rest. The Bills have more than earned it. Atlanta, stop pretending you're relevant. We know how this ends, boys. You try to posture like you're above your station in life and fall face first into a vat of acid. I get you're playing with house money, I don't care. This is what the Falcons do, despite somehow going 7-2 in one-score games this season. Still a better outcome than the relentless choking, but this is where it ends. You had your lead at halftime because Josh Allen is the only thing that makes the Bills' offense run, and he was throwing free picks like it was a betting insider. And that's good enough for Atlanta. In the second half, Buffalo realized that they need this game for their own dreams and outsprint old Falcon to the finish line. I'm not dismissing Atlanta outright. There were a few times where they got close to scoring, but isn't that the story of this damn franchise? Letting prime chances slip through their grasp against all odds. The Bills, meanwhile, continue their march with a secured playoff berth. Do you like punting, folks? This game had all of that and more in spades. I'd personally argue this is an alarming revelation for the Bills since they can't do anything against the Jets. And how banged up they've been on defense all year? I guess you could say that at least they ended up winning in the end? Even then, it took way too long for them to get to full speed. When they eventually did, all was fine, but this isn't a good look against the red-headed stepchild of the division. As advertised earlier, all that was involved for most of the contest was endless punting. Punting as far as the eye could see, making things very uneasy for Bills Mafia. Fortunately, Josh Allen carried the team on his back again, so they avoid humiliation and successfully secure the AFC East for the second consecutive year. Before continued success, all you can hope is that their defense is as otherworldly as it was today. You can't hold every single team to 5 net yards passing. Not every QB you face will be Zach Wilson. This has been a season. So many twists and turns that it's hard to conceive with the naked eye. If you were looking at this year seriously, it was absolutely exhausting. But do you know the true bounty to cherish? The memes. It was fucking gold for this economy. Thanks to incredible collapses, fantastic comebacks, Urban Meyer's coaching tenure, and whatever the fuck Antonio Brown did in the Jets game. If the bigger games are going to be as fucked as the regular season is, I expect plenty of shenanigans to come in the future. Get ready. The NFL playoffs are about to begin. Consider this team as a legitimate Super Bowl contender at the start of the year. Not to say they're a bad team these days, they can still make noise in the right circumstances. However, now that the wrapping paper has been removed and its sheen has lost its luster, many glaring flaws are bubbling to Buffalo's surface. Their offense is the epitome of one-dimensional. Take a look at the key players of each area of operation. Their passing game is led by Josh Allen. Their running game is mainly the rumbling might of Josh Allen. Interior line blocking? Probably Josh Allen. He's the only thing standing in the way between relevance and being as fucked as they were for the last 20 years. I swear they use him so often they're gonna get him killed someday. Hopefully that doesn't happen like it did to Tre'Davious White this season. Losing him is going to be a death blow against some of these passing teams. It might not be your year, boys. Don't tell them that, though. They'll send Josh Allen to bulldoze you if you even consider it. When you think of the greatest games in NFL history, what do you think of? The catch, the ice bowl, the immaculate reception, 28-3, the comeback? There's a common theme. One team's glory is another's tragedy, regardless of how well they played. This past Sunday, we had one of those matches. Normally, I tend to go for the more tongue-in-cheek games that are so terrible that they're worthy of song. But this one, This is a contest we'll be talking about for a very long time to come. This was true greatness. There was only one location of such history and pride to be worthy of hosting such an event: Arrowhead Stadium. I know it's called GEHA Field at Arrowhead now, but I don't give a shit. We know it as Arrowhead like we know Buffalo's home as Ralph Wilson Stadium. It has been the home of many great games in the past. Some great for the Kansas City Chiefs, some outright tragic for them. This year the goal is to maintain their pace at the top of the mountain. Despite struggles in the early part of the season, the Chiefs overcame their issues and adjusted back to the offensive dynamo they once were. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Did you seriously believe they had a shot? Don't make them laugh. The sheer audacity of such a statement as Patrick Mahomes throws spirals for majestic touchdowns is a punitive measure. Last week may have been a cupcake matchup, but their next opponent will be a heavyweight contender. The Buffalo Bills know all about Kansas City. They came to this sacred ground last season in the AFC Championship game. The Bills were hoping for an upset, but the Chiefs were simply the better team that day. A season later, they have picked themselves up off the ground and are eager for revenge. Josh Allen has been a man possessed as of late. He may be one of the few things keeping the offense running, but he's very, very hard to stop, both in the air and on the ground. Poor New England, no one cries. Their absolute destruction in Buffalo was a delight to those that were kept down by a Patriot boot for decades. The time of old empire is up. Now it's their turn. They want the Chiefs. They want to prove they are the new leaders of the AFC. Everyone has this game circled on the calendar. A clash worthy of a far more prestigious title than an AFC Divisional round match. This is worthy of at least 20 of those matinee skirmishes. Night falls on Kansas City, and the match is to begin. The Chiefs are slight favorites and many are anticipating a good matchup. But little did they all know they would get that and more. Buffalo receives the ball first, and as they move down the field they run into a 4th and short situation. The Bills know what to do. Trust the offense. So go for it they do. And Josh Allen converts. The first salvo has been fired. With this momentum, Buffalo chips away at Kansas City's advantage thanks to smart play calling and deception. But there's another 4th down situation at hand. If you did it near midfield, why not do it at the goal line? Devin Singletary responds to the challenge. A touchdown is their reward. A statement of authenticity. Buffalo has come to play. There's a reason why they had to go balls out on that drive. Patrick Mahomes is fucking Houdini. It does not matter what they throw at him or how they scheme. He will overcome it, by either his arm or his legs. Buffalo's defense is strong. Some say one of the strongest in football. But Mahomes does not care. He will lead the Chiefs to a touchdown in response with another impressive drive. Anything Allen can do, he can do better. Josh Allen took this as a challenge. You think the mere parlor tricks of mortals are enough to bedazzle the Bills' offense? Will any defense ever make a stop? That answer is a very shocking yes. Defense? In this NFL? That's probably illegal. Worst of all, Buffalo has to punt. For the first time in these playoffs. Forcing a punter to work? That's also probably illegal. Pinned at their 1-yard line, the Chiefs can do nothing and are forced to punt as well. This needs to stop for the power of offense, but Buffalo is stuffed as well. We must be patient. It's only a matter of time before these potent attacks eventually break through. And Mahomes is the first to answer the call. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back from injury, and every man is needed on the battlefield. The goal line is the only thing standing in their way. Do you think you can sack Mahomes? Of course not. Touchdown, Kansas City. The Wyoming howitzer sits on the sidelines and devises his next plan. Less than 2 minutes left on the clock, it does not matter. Wave after wave of assaults tiring both groups and exciting the crowds gathered to watch an air show. Field goals need not apply. Only touchdowns are acceptable. But the other side will not be as benevolent with their charges. The defenses must have agreed, as Gabriel Davis was wide open for a touchdown. The man responsible for defending him slipped. Good, there was far too much defense happening for it to continue. But Kansas City can still counter before the armistice of halftime. They have made it to field goal range, but Harrison Butker's leg betrayed him. He shanks the kick. We are tied at half. As tension and uneasiness fills Chiefs and Bills fans, both franchises are emboldened to strike with everything they have. Air raids are seemingly impossible to stop. Worse, both defenses are without key components. Buffalo has been without Tre'Davious White since Thanksgiving due to injury. And Kansas City has lost the Honey Badger for the rest of the game as well. Concussions are a bitch. To start the third quarter, Mahomes will have the chance to prove himself first. He is managing well, but a 4th and 1 impedes his progress. Is impede the right word? We know he's going to convert it. Just like he impeccably converted this third down with magic and deception, but there's a flag for holding. Drive officially killed. They must bring out the field goal unit to go up by 3. It would be shocking, but something even more stunning happens. A 3 and out. Kansas City's defense managed to hold. The Chiefs have a chance to bust this game open. The rushing attack will do the work here. On top of the blistering runs already done, McCole Hardman takes a sweep to the left and bursts through the closing gates. Touchdown, Kansas City. It would have been perfect, but Butker's leg betrayed him again. He should really consider cutting it off for good luck. Concern is in everyone's face but Josh Allen. His response? Heat-seeking piss missile. Directly into the enemy's weak point for maximum damage. Even Gabriel Davis is stunned as to how that happened. It's now a 2-point game. Patrick Mahomes can't be one-upped in his own stomping ground. Things go smoothly until the end of the third quarter, but then they are stopped. In the most surprising twist today, Kansas City punts. I didn't know they could do that in opposing territory. I also didn't know that the Chiefs secondary could hold up and force a coverage sack on Josh Allen. Josh Allen can be sacked? As Buffalo is forced to make their punter work, now we get to see the human joystick that is Tyreek Hill. Look at him make the other team so burn their legs melt off. He takes this punt all the way back to the Bills' red zone. If there was a time for Buffalo's defense to make a stand, it's here. On 3rd and 1, Travis Kelce is under center, but Buffalo holds firm. They are stuffed for a loss. The Bills ain't dead yet. Not when they're only down by 5. Josh Allen has just under 9 minutes left, but you know what they say. The best defense is by holding on to the ball. They're trying to make sure that the Chiefs don't get it back. Or if they do, it's with as little time on the clock as possible. Methodical, precise, unrelenting. That is the offensive style here. Everyone knows you can't give Mahomes time. Even a sliver of it. But now it's pressure time. 4th and 4 and a field goal won't cut it. You know who solves this riddle? Josh fucking Allen. They seriously thought they could sack him. That's a funny story to hear. Although they can tackle Devin Singletary in the backfield to get to the 2-minute warning. In an omen from the heavens, a Chiefs fan rushed onto the field and was suplexed to hell itself. He got on TV though, it's all good. However, that's not what's important. It's 4th and 13. I wonder if Josh Allen has an answer for this.
Allen fires it. It's a wide open. Remarkable touchdown.
Piss missile. Josh goddamn Allen to a wide-open Gabriel Davis to give Buffalo the lead again. Davis was so unstoppable he juked the defender out of his fucking shoes. Just cut them off, he isn't worthy of them anymore. But they'll need to convert the 2-point conversion.
Allen could try to make it a 3-point lead. Circling around at the 18. Swings it back to the end zone.
Like every good hero, Josh Allen has plot armor. He could have 6 men rushing him, yet somehow escape it and throw a strike to the end zone. But let's just say that Kansas City has a trick or two up their sleeves to counter.
Down the middle. It's Hill.
Save the
In the open. That puts it upfield.
This is why the Bills needed Tre'Davious White. He might have been the only hope to stop a cheetah from sprinting down the field. We can ignore Tyreek's obvious taunting penalty because it's on the offense and everyone hates that damn rule. But the question now, did they leave Josh Allen too much time? He's down by 4, but that defense has to be absolutely gassed after that last drive. And Allen will make sure it's so. The Chiefs' D has seemingly been awestruck by Bill's might. I don't blame them for that. Recue the music. I smell another clutch moment coming up. Career-defining magic. Exposing a tired secondary to get Gabriel Davis his 4th touchdown of the day. A postseason record. This game proves it. The NFL is king. And now you see why. What other sport offers such incredible bullshit that captivates us all to addiction? Just make this game the Super Bowl. Forfeit every other game and call the winner of this one the champion. It deserves it. But now Mahomes has his biggest test yet. Only 13 seconds to get into some semblance of a field goal range. He does have all 3 timeouts, but it's a challenge that is near impossible. The good news for him is that Buffalo's scheming is garbage. They're leaving swaths of the middle of the field wide open. Tyreek Hill sprints nearly 20 yards to get them closer, but they'll need another miracle to get them into field goal range.
To have one of those long-range Hail Mary kicks. Gotta throw it right away, right now to someone in the middle. Down the middle. Oh my goodness! It's gonna be a 48-yard attempt.
How does a music track burn out? It's fucking digital. We can't just have Travis Kelce make an incredible play with nothing behind it. So be it. All they need is for Butker to make this kick and they're set.
So hundreds of thousands around the planet. The kick is good!
His leg did not betray him this time. A 2-minute segment that will be told in legends. 25 points scored in 2 minutes. Over 45 yards of offense in 2 plays with 13 seconds left. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? This is true greatness. Worthy of 10 greatest games in 1. Best for all neutral parties, we need overtime to decide a victor. Josh Allen has been undefeated in overtime coin tosses. Can he do it again?
Buffalo, you're still the visiting team. What is your call? We have a coin, heads and tails. Tails. Tails is the call. Tails is
This
the call.
feels huge, right? With how good these offenses are.
This might have been the biggest mistake Allen's made in these playoffs. He's had one of the best postseason stretches the NFL has ever seen. Yet he'll have to rely on the defense for him to get the ball again. Kansas City knows what they need to do. Finish them off. If they get possession back, they will surely be done, especially without Tyrann Mathieu. There might not be much energy left on either side, but this is truly sudden death. They're going to give everything they've got to finish this game and move on. Both sides are. What we're seeing are the stories told in days of old. Gladiators in the arena, bloodied and bruised by the scars of war. Patrick Mahomes is advancing. The Chiefs can end it here, with a precise pass to the end zone.
Looking to the end zone for the win! He caught it! Ball game!
An epic has concluded. Travis Kelce has called game. Both teams were worthy of glories beyond compare, but the football gods demanded that one be eliminated. The pain in Buffalo is insurmountable. They played their hearts out in a quest for vengeance, yet still came up short. The Chiefs once again escaped certain peril to emerge victorious. And what a victory it was for them. Overcoming the loss of the Honey Badger and a field eager to trip up their secondary. Patrick Mahomes becoming a man possessed by demons of the gridiron to counter Josh Allen's holy light. And it's enough for Arrowhead to host another game against Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. All Buffalo can do is ask themselves what they did wrong. The obvious answer is the terrible defensive scheming on the final 2 plays with 13 seconds left. Deep prevent guarding the sidelines when the Chiefs had all 3 timeouts. Not a good look when their receivers are that wide open to trek through swaths of field. Some argue that the Bills should have squib kicked it to them. But that was a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If they squib it, sure a few seconds are shaved off, but they're starting out in much better field position than the 25. If they still manage to get into field goal range, people are asking why they didn't just kick it out of the end zone. There was little they could have done there. The other argument is in the overtime rules themselves, which is ironically how the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the 2019 AFC Championship game. Kansas City proposed changes to the overtime rules in response, but Buffalo was one of the teams that rejected it. Well, the tables truly have turned. The calls have come from fandom to change them again, but I don't believe they should. Football is a team game. If a team can't properly defend against an offensive attack with 13 seconds left or in overtime, the offense shouldn't get a chance to counter. All that would do is water down defenses more than they already are. There has to be some risk if you're unable to secure a victory in 60 minutes. And the coin toss is that risk. If Buffalo got a chance to score, this game would probably still be going on. We'd be playing this 300 years later in an endless war of attrition. Plus breaks for lunch. Buffalo will sting and drown their sorrows in liquor, but they are so close to greatness that it is intangible. They will be back here again. I don't see this as another failure for them, but the next step to solidifying their supremacy. Allen and Mahomes will fight in many more matches in the future, like Manning and Brady did before them and Bradshaw and Stabler before them. Buffalo will get their victories in time. I am assured of it. Regardless of alleged controversy, this is a game that will be talked about for generations. A name will eventually come for this classic. Perhaps something much better than the assault at Arrowhead or 13 seconds to salvation. Please don't let it be those. I trust those more intelligent than I to come up with that. Let's keep it simple. Do you know what we will call this for now? The greatest game. Not in the tongue-in-cheek way, but as a stamp of legitimacy. Praise be to everyone who played in this match. You will all have your place in football Valhalla.